Every single morning you wake up already behind, and you do not even know why. Your brain is not broken, it is hijacked. And the hijacking started before you even opened your eyes. The system that was supposed to give you focus, energy, and clarity has been turned against you. And the terrifying part is, you agreed to it. You signed up for the exact thing destroying your ability to think. I'm going to give you the name of what is happening inside your brain right now, and then I'm going to give you a 7-day protocol that rewires it permanently. Stay with me, because in the next 90 seconds, I will show you something about your own mind that most people spend their entire lives never understanding. The condition your brain is operating in right now has a clinical name: dopamine dysregulation. But the version most people experience is not the extreme version described in medical textbooks. It is a slow, quiet version I call Low Grade Dopamine Drain. It does not feel like addiction. It does not feel like a problem. It feels like a personality. You assume you are someone who struggles to focus. You assume deep work is not for you. You assume your mind is too scattered to ever produce the kind of output that actually changes a life. None of that is true. What is true is that your brain has been trained through thousands of micro-rewards to expect stimulation every few seconds. A notification, a scroll, a click. Each one releases a tiny chemical hit. Each one trains your brain to expect the next one faster. And when a brain conditioned to expect reward every 3 seconds is asked to focus on one difficult thing for 30 minutes, the result is not laziness. It is withdrawal. Literal chemical withdrawal happening inside your prefrontal cortex every single time you try to do something that actually matters. This is why you open your phone the moment you sit down to work. This is why you cannot finish a single thought before something pulls you away. This is why 20 minutes into reading or writing or building something real, you feel a physical discomfort that forces you to stop. Your brain is not scattered. It is addicted. And every app on your phone was engineered by rooms full of neuroscientists to keep it exactly that way. Now, here is the part nobody is telling you, and this is where everything changes. The standard dopamine detox advice you have seen 1,000 times is completely wrong. Delete social media, sit in a dark room, eliminate all pleasure, eat plain food. That is not a protocol. That is punishment. And your brain cannot rewire through punishment. It rewires through replacement. The difference between those two approaches is the difference between 3 days of white-knuckle willpower followed by complete collapse and permanent neurological change that actually holds. The people who successfully rebuild their capacity for deep focus do not deprive their brain of reward. They redirect it. They build what neuroscientists call a reward reassignment loop. In the next 4 minutes, I'm going to give you the exact 7-stage architecture of that loop, so that by day 7, your brain is chemically incapable of preferring distraction over depth. The mechanism is called dopamine baseline collapse. Here's what that means in plain language. Right now, your dopamine baseline is sitting artificially high because of relentless stimulation. That artificial high means anything without an instant reward feels painful by comparison. Reading feels boring. Deep thinking feels exhausting. Creating feels impossible. Not because those things are actually difficult, but because your brain has been calibrated to a stimulation level that makes everything real feel like nothing. The first 3 days of the protocol are designed around one goal only. Not adding better habits, not journaling, not meditating, just collapsing the baseline back to its natural level so your brain can feel genuine reward from real work again. Here is the Reward Reassignment Protocol. Days 1 and 2 are the stimulus elimination phase. Every morning for 2 hours after waking, there is zero phone, zero social media, zero video, and zero music with lyrics. The reason the first 2 hours specifically is neurological. Your prefrontal cortex is most vulnerable to habituation in the first 90 minutes after waking. What you feed it in that window becomes what it craves for the rest of the day. You are not eliminating stimulation permanently. You are starving the machine just long enough that it stops screaming. Days 3 and 4 are the replacement anchoring phase. In the same 2-hour morning window, you now replace the removed stimulation with one single deep work task. One, not a morning routine, not 5 habits stacked together. One task that requires sustained thinking. The reason one task matters is neurochemical. Your brain cannot build a dopamine association with a category. It builds associations with specific, repeated experiences. You are training it to associate the morning window with the chemical feeling of completion that comes from doing hard work. That completion releases real dopamine, earned, not stolen. Day 5 is the contrast installation, and this is the most important day in the entire protocol. Most people skip it because they do not understand why it exists. On day 5, you deliberately return to your old stimulation pattern for exactly 1 hour in the afternoon. You scroll, you check everything. You do what you used to do every morning. The reason is neurological. Your brain needs contrast to lock in a permanent preference. After 4 days of reduced stimulation, the old pattern will feel hollow and unsatisfying in a way it never did before. You are not relapsing. You are installing the comparison that makes the new pattern feel permanently superior to the old one. Days 6 and 7 are the architecture solidification phase. You extend the deep work window from 2 hours to 4 hours. You add a second stimulus-free block in the evening between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. By day 7, your brain has moved through baseline collapse, then replacement anchoring, then contrast installation, and now architecture solidification. The rewiring is not finished at day 7, but the direction is locked. Your brain now knows what deep focus feels like and has a chemical preference for it over distraction. That preference does not disappear. It compounds. Every day after day 7, the gap between your old, scattered mind and the mind you are building widens and becomes harder to reverse. What I just gave you is the reset.
But the reset is only half the system. In the next video, I'm going to show you the exact method that makes your mind completely immune to psychological manipulation from other people, so that nobody can ever use your own psychology against you again. That method is called the Gray Rock Protocol.